Today I'm using my MetaQuest again to show you guys the first person experience of making pizza dough that I'm going to freeze for my family. And I'm gonna try my best to like read ingredients off of the phone. You can kind of read stuff on your phone, but I may just lift off my headgear when I look at my phone to see the amounts of ingredients I need. In the oven there, I'm making about 3 pizzas worth of dough. And in the oven there, I've been proving yeast. And I used a big measuring cup, added a packet of yeast, and then about 3 amounts of water for 3 pizza doughs. So what I'm gonna do is take that yeast out. Now, to prove that yeast, I put it on the counter there. I put sugar in the bowl. I put the water I needed, and then I put the yeast packet in there. And then I mixed it up with the wooden spoon. Use a wooden spoon, not a metal spoon. Metal spoon will be cold. You want the yeast to stay warm, so you use kind of hot water. I think it's supposed to be like 120 degrees or so. Before I do any of that, I preheat my oven just like to 100, the lowest setting actually, but like to 170 degrees for just a moment to make it warm in there. Then I turn it off right away, and then I put the yeast in there after I've mixed it, and I let it proof. It's been in there for like an hour. I've never let it sit in there this long, but I was waiting for my wife and my child to leave so I can make this video without any distractions. So, I am going to add the flour I need. I bought bread flour today, and I'm going to see how much of that I need. I think we're going to need 2, 4, 6 cups, but we're going to start with 3 cups. And then we're going to add more to it. So I'll just usually use a wooden spoon to, when you're making bread at least, to put flour in a measuring cup. That way it's not all packed together, but I'm just going to scoop this. 1, 2, and 3. I have a small bowl, but that's because I'm using my other large bowl. It's also in the oven with oil, olive oil, all around it for when I put the dough in the bowl so I can break it up and make it into 3 pizza balls that will be frozen. All right, so I have my flour. Now I'm gonna add, let's see here. I'm gonna add sugar, salt, basil, and garlic powder. So I forgot to grab the garlic powder, so give me a second here. Okay, plug myself back in here. My boy was playing walkabout mini golf, so my battery on this is a little low because of that, so I have to be plugged in right now. All right, so looks like we're gonna do a teaspoon of sugar, teaspoon of salt. So times those by 3. And then, so let's just start with the garlic powder. I'm gonna do 3/4 teaspoons of garlic powder. 1, 2, and 3. That you don't want to put too much garlic powder because I've done that already, and it makes it's makes it just smell more garlicky and taste more garlicky than I'd like. But if you like that, go ahead. I do love garlic, but not too much. And then 3 teaspoons of salt. So we have a teaspoon right here. 1, 2. Pretty much gonna use this up. 3. Okay. And now I'll add basil and oregano. I guess I'll just do a teaspoon of both of those. This I just crushed up today. I had it drying over there just like that dill is right now. And I crushed it. It smells pretty darn good right now. This is from my garden that I hope to show you guys this spring and summer. How I garden and what I'm growing, and you guys can watch it progress. And then we're gonna do oregano, teaspoon as well. Some stems are here. If you grind it, you know you won't get some of the stems, but it doesn't matter to me. All right, so I'll just give this a little mix. If you're ever making bread, you're supposed to mix the flour like I'm doing. Makes it nice and fluffy. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to right now because I measured it and packed it when I was measuring it. So this will just fluff it up a bit. And then after I'm done doing this, I'm going to add the water. And I'll do the water slowly. And then we have to add 3 more cups of flour anyways while we're doing that. And I'll probably just add the flour on the table here because it's going to be too much for this bowl. And then we're not going to let the yeast rise. We're going to just mix the dough really well until I feel like I can make dough balls out of it. And then we're going to put them on the baking tray there, throw that in the freezer so they can freeze for like 2-3 hours and make a dough ball. All of that I watched on YouTube to learn, so you could just Google how to freeze dough balls for pizza. All right, it's mixed up. Let me just quickly look at anything else I need to do. No? All right, so now we start doing this. Okay, I'm going to grab the yeast, and again, I proofed this for a while, so it's still nice and warm, which is good. Let me just give you a good look. It makes our kitchen smell like bread and like, I don't know, beer, but Makes me think of bread. So, oh, wow. Smells so good. All right. I'm going to start pouring. So here we go. I'll make a little indentation here. Also, it'd be nice to get my hands a little more. Some flour on there. There we go. Pour some of this yeast in there. And give it a nice good pour right away. And use this to mix. And I'm starting to smell the garlic already a lot more as I'm mixing this. And because I didn't add all the water, it's gonna just crumble like this right now. Which I'm fine with because I don't want it to start to get sticky yet. Alright, so we'll just grab another cup here. Kinda throw that on there. Add a little bit more water. Yeast, I should say. And there we go. I don't think I'm going to add any more flour now because it's just too full in here. So I'll add the rest of that water on the table. I love making dough, making bread too. Just the smells. I've always made it with my family. My grandma used to make donuts and bread and dough with us as children, and my mom has made it a couple times as well with us. And I've shown my children how to make dough, but I just love the process. The kneading, everything about it. The smells, kneading, um, shaping. I'm gonna dump it all in. Let's just get it all out. I'm gonna use my hands to get the rest of it out. And just set that aside. Okay. So, all the water's in here. I didn't think I was gonna pour it all in here, but I think it just manages. It's a really cold day today, so another thing when you're making bread or pizza dough, I would say you turn the heat up in your house. That'll help bread rise if you're gonna let it rise and not freeze it. Turn your heat up, or like I did, get your stove going. That'll just heat up the room itself. And everything stays nice and warm. Even a metal bowl, if you put the yeast in a metal bowl to proof it, um, you'll want to warm up that metal bowl some way, either with warm water, hot water, or putting it in the oven on low for a little bit to keep everything warm. And that's why you don't use a metal spoon really either. You want to use a bamboo or wooden spoon. And even before I mixed the yeast with this spoon, to prove it, I um, I let the hot water run and then let it run over the the spoon. Because if you use cold, it's just gonna knock down the yeast. The yeast is not gonna want to grow like it should, or prove like it should. I'm no expert. I've done this enough to know that those things can be important, especially when making bread, because you want your bread to rise really nicely when you do that, and all of that helps. So making bread, I'd say in the summer, is not a big deal because it's warm out. But today is a negative, well, it's like it's a 4-degree day. Hey Google, what's the temperature outside right now? 10 degrees. Oh, okay. That sounds terrible. Yeah, it's been pretty cold lately. All right. We're getting close to a good consistency here. Not to where I can really work with it with my hands just yet, but I might throw it on the table here soon. And just throw the last cup of flour on the table. And we'll have this dough doing pretty well. And I'll get the dough off of my hands a lot of the time by just putting flour on my hands. And I have 2 separate bags. One to put my hands in. Plus this is better bread. This is bread flour. This is just regular all-purpose flour. And as you can see, it's coming together. It's starting to look more like dough than water or flour. And this should make 3 pizzas. My wife has been buying pizzas every month for like, 2 for $10, and I'm just like, well, I like doing this. I can just make, pizza dough without preservatives, all the whatever bad stuff they put in it, and we can have fresh pizza dough. Because all you have to do is, if you know you're gonna have pizza one day, you take the dough out of the freezer the day before you're gonna have the pizza, and then by the time that next day comes around, and I've already done this recently, like 3-4 days ago, you just take it out and you let it rise. I let it rise in our oven, which I also just preheated to a low temperature again, the 170 degrees, and it rose beautifully. And then I just powdered the table, powdered my hands, took it out. You kind of push down the pizza dough at first slowly, and then I tossed it up. Well, first I kind of made it, and then you use gravity to just kind of round it out, and then have flour on your hands and toss it up. And that part of it I actually enjoy a lot. It's a lot of fun doing that. Okay, we're getting there. I think I may pull this out of the bowl. Yeah, look, see, it's not really sticking anymore. I'll throw some flour on the table here, and then we can start doing a little bit of mixing with our hands and making it into three portions that I can throw on that sheet. I'm actually gonna, oh, Woody, powder this. Yeah. It's still pretty sticky, but I think I'm gonna throw it out and then just get some flour ready here. And we're just gonna dump this out. Get out what I can. There we go. It's a messy job for sure doing all this, but I don't mind it. I'm cleaning up all the time after our kids. So this is just, cleaning is just like everyone, normal afternoon. And I'll just grab some flour if it's sticking too much. I don't want to really, I mean, I'm trying just to mix it, not knead it. I can show you what kneading is right now here. So kneading would be just doing this, folding it, pressing. I don't want to do that right now because that's not that I want to do after it rises. So after it comes out of the freezer and rises, and then you start doing that process. I'm just trying to mix it with my hands. So I think I'll kind of do this process. I don't know, roll it. But I'm gonna have to divide it here soon. And it's starting to stick a little bit. Alright. I think I'm getting to a point where I don't want to overdo the putting too much flour. The guy I watched, he mixed his dough for like 15 minutes, but in a mixer. And that makes it able to not stick to his mixer if you have the right amount of flour and versus water. I'm not that good yet, so I'm gonna stop mixing sooner rather than later. But if you mix it longer, the dough becomes more like you can make it into a dough ball. Like if I let this sit here, it might spread out a lot more. But if I do what he did and you mix it in the mixer for 15 minutes or so, it becomes to the point where you can make a nice round ball. And then when you stick it in the freezer, it stays into a ball shape. And I like using the MetaQuest because I want to give you like a bird's eye view here. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Bird's eye view. I like that. You can see what I see because I'm doing this with the MetaQuest on. So I am just working through the cameras that are on the MetaQuest. You are seeing it the same way I am. All right, this is it. I think the dough has a good consistency, feels firm enough, and I don't want it to get any less or too much more flour. So I'm going to start to divide this. So set that there. Put some more flour down. And then probably just roll this real quick so I can just divide it with the spoon, I guess. This is kind of fun. Making a little... Well, look at like a bread you could make. You could make a bread like this. You could just make a tube, whatever you want to do. Do this little donut. You can have fun. All right. Oop. Let's divide it into thirds. I'll make sure I have this pretty even. So like there. Okay. Let's do the same thing here. All right, and then I'll make these into dough balls. Throw them in the freezer for 3 hours. It'll be good. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe or like. And these are the final dough balls ready to be freezed and baked and enjoyed later.